Greetings. My name is JC Gomez. I am the Senior Project Manager for Wellington Construction Group. I'm going to be talking about COVID-19, our response, and our way ahead. First thing we'd like to talk about is that we see the need for a 90, 180, and 365-day plan in order to be and continue to respond to the crisis as it is right now, and for immediate future and for long-term planning. A little bit of background first. COVID-19 obviously took the world by surprise, and we can see how unplanned surprises like this one have a high cost in both human life and an economic downturn. Therefore, we must act in advance to prevent such catastrophic failures within the parameters of the things that we can control. We see those things as our environment and our personnel. Our response has to be proactive and it has to be leaning forward in order to keep the environments for our clients and for our crews as safe as possible. I'd like to talk about a little bit what we call the road to crisis. In early March, we learned of the potential threat through the media channels and began formulating our response protocols. By mid-March, we started internal messaging to our leadership, admin, and sub-base in order to elevate the PPE posture and gave specific protocols to follow to minimize our risk and exposure. We also immediately shut down access to our headquarters and went to remote operations for administration. We did that to prevent our headquarters from suffering any immediate illnesses or shortages in personnel, so we can contain folks from outside of our office in order to prevent any outside factors coming into the office. This will allow for the most command and control of our operations. By late March, we had decreased our operational footprint on sites and continued implementation of more developed crisis operational procedures to protect our clients and our crews. Our plan is to, by mid-April, reinforce the things that we have been already implementing and retrain our leadership so that they prevent any complacency within our crews. By mid-April, we'll be dealing with this crisis for about 2 months then, and sometimes when we become used to protective posture, the tendency may be to become complacent, so we're going to reinforce our training. By the middle part of April and late part of April, our plan is to have our 90 to 180-day procedures already developed and disseminate that through our entire team. All of this is with the goal of having a really solid plan for a potential threat and crisis in 2021. So how do we do it? And we really do believe that leadership is key to making this thing happen. We believe that because that is the main way that we make things happen within Wellington. And we don't think that it's anything short of the way that we're going to do things now. First thing we're talking about with regards to leaders is that we're making sure that our personnel has adequate PPE and are properly uniformed for the tasks that they have to do. This is key, and it was really kind of a surprise. We had PPE, but we obviously did not have PPE to the degree where we needed to sustain a month's worth of supply. So we have had to create procedures to clean PPE and reuse it as much as possible because, of course, the healthcare industry is priority when it comes to N95s and masks of that nature for the people that really are in the front line. As construction workers and maintenance people, we are really limited in our exposure to other personnel. However, we are in common areas, so we are taking measures to protect our people. But because of the crisis is ongoing, resupply has been kind of a challenge. So we'll talk about later, we'll talk a little bit later about how we're going to prevent that next year. We believe that leaders set the example, right? If leaders are thinking and talking about safety, it becomes a culture of the organization. And therefore, we tell our leadership that you must act in a way that exemplifies the culture of safety. Leaders lead the way. This is supposed to be a little snippet of a video, but I'm going to have to see if I can show it so that you can see kind of an example of an internal piece of information. So here we go.
We're keeping our masks on the entire time when we're close to anyone else, keeping gloves on as we move in and out of buildings. We're avoiding elevator use, and we have reduced our teams to less than 3 people at any job site with distance between each team member. This is going to be enterprise-wide. I want the entire organization to follow these rules.
Anyway, this was an internal message that was sent to all of our teams via our WhatsApp group chat that we have with everyone in the company, and it really was just one of many messages that we're sending out enterprise-wide to keep people focused on what we wanted in terms of procedures. The last thing is going to be training. Now, we believe strongly in training, and so then it will not be any different from the things that we've done in the past. Training will remain part of our indoctrination for new people and retraining for those that have been with us for a while. There's really no room for disregard of safety, and really we will not tolerate it. It's one of the things that we take pride in, and we'll continue to enforce these rules whether or not we're in crisis or not. How do we get there? We believe in task and purpose. So here's a little bit of calendar, all right? Where are we right now? Right now we are whoa, let me give you that calendar again. We're in Q2. So what we're trying to do right now is maintain our crew safe and healthy and working through the crisis in order to be able to respond to the resurgence to normal operations, potentially by Q3. We're keeping good records of our internal protocols and procedures so that we can use them during something that we produce in 2021. In Q3, we're going to be conducting recovery of our teams, assessing how they're doing, and if we had any casualties, which we have not as of yet, but just in case we do, we want to go ahead and do an assessment of our entire enterprise. And we are going to see do business analytics to see how this impacted our business, specifically for cash flows, so that we can prepare for cash flow requirements in the future. The last thing we're going to be doing is taking inventory of individual requirements for 90 days of PPE so that we can procure those requirements sometime in the last quarter of the year in preparation for a relapse or a potential crisis in 2021. In Q4, we will acquire and stock the adequate PPE as we talked about in Q3 in order to prepare for shortages in the potential crisis. And we will conduct a pre-flu season training at the team level. So normally we conduct a large enterprise-wide training for safety and end-of-year procedures. But in the end of this year, we're going to be doing small unit training in order to have the greatest impact enterprise-wide. We find that with smaller group trainings, we make more impact and people ask more questions. So we'll be doing it that way. And then in Q1 of 2021, we're going to institute our crisis operation protocols early in January. And we'll be prepared to execute those operations or those protocols all the way through April. And hopefully we don't need them, but we'll be prepared if we do. The main way we're going to do this, we're going to use the lesson learned to prevent loss of lives and, of course, of business. Key takeaways. So one of the main things that we've done this year and we're going to continue to do in the following years is we're going to monitor official channels of information to gather data so we can gauge the level of response. We're going to learn from and train all our personnel on crisis operations protocols, and we will plan early so that we can be prepared. So what do we do now? Well, we act now. After this training, what we're going to do is meet with managers internally from Wellington Construction Group, our subs, and our administrative teams. And after these meetings, we're going to have our sub base and our key leaders meet with their subordinate leaders or subordinate crews to address their current state and the way ahead. Next, we'll create a plan and support individuals, people, that's their subordinates, that is, with the proper knowledge and equipment to operate in a safe manner. And we are, like always, consistently going to be reviewing plans and supervising our teams. In this last slide here, what I want to share is the resources that we've been using in order to gain good and reliable information. As we all know, mismanagement of information can allow for misinformation to proliferate, and that is one of the ways that we've prevented panic from ensuing within our teams. So here I'm sharing the CDC's official business response page. I also share OSHA's page when it comes to COVID-19, and the last one is videos on the proper use of PPE. In the end, what we want is everyone to remain safe and our business to remain healthy so that we can continue operations and support our client needs. I hope this video was informative and helps you in making decisions for the future. This video is meant not only for our internal leadership, but also as a way to inform our clients of the steps that we're taking in order to be best prepared to conduct operations within your facilities, your buildings, and your properties. We thank you very much for continuing to use Wellington Construction Group, and we hope that you are remaining safe during this crisis. Together, we will all get through this. Thank you very much, and have a great day.